Mammals aren't the only ones who have adapted to high temperatures. Elephants, of course, have large ears that help them cool the blood that flows through them. Humans sweat and dogs pant. But plants also have to deal with high temperatures and have evolved a variety of ways to deal with heat. And most of them have to do with one important resource: water. Plants take water in through their roots and evaporate it out through their leaves. This evaporation pulls the water up, and this unbroken stream of water inside the plant is called the transpiration stream. Water is a precious resource, so a plant wants to control how much water it loses. It does this with something called stomata, tiny openings on the surface of the leaves. These little openings can be opened and closed by increasing and decreasing the tension of the cells that form the opening. When open, water evaporates through the stomata, creating that pull that moves the transpiration stream. Stomata also serve another important purpose: gas exchange. Plants need carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to perform photosynthesis, and they get that carbon dioxide through their stomata. So water goes out through the stomata and CO2 comes in. At night, most plants close their stomata. They can't perform photosynthesis without sunlight, so there's no point losing water through their stomata if the carbon dioxide they're pulling in can't even be used. So the ability to open and close these stomata is an important tool in conserving water, especially in hot weather. These stomata come into play in this next example, which is CAM photosynthesis. CAM stands for crassulacean acid metabolism. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants use sunlight and carbon dioxide to create energy, and CAM photosynthesis evolved in plants exposed to dry conditions. Unlike a more typical plant like I just mentioned, these plants close their stomata during the day, not at night. Because it's hot and dry, open stomata during the day would suck all of the water out of the plant. Instead, at night they open their stomata, take in carbon dioxide, and store it in special vacuoles in their cells. That way, during the day, they have a stash of carbon dioxide to use while they photosynthesize. A good example of plants that use CAM photosynthesis is succulents, like cacti. This next example is also a modification to photosynthesis, and it is called C4 carbon fixation. C4 carbon fixation is similar to CAM photosynthesis as it involves storing carbon dioxide to combat hot and dry conditions. C4, however, is adapted to increasing efficiency rather than specifically saving water. Rubisco, an enzyme involved in photosynthesis, is supposed to fix CO2. Sometimes it will fix oxygen instead, which is a waste of energy for the plant. In C4 plants, the leaves have a special structure. They isolate the rubisco in something called bundle sheath cells and surround them with stored CO2. By not allowing the rubisco access to oxygen, they avoid a wasteful oxygen fixation, which is called photorespiration. Corn actually uses this method. Alright, we talked about photosynthesis and stomata, but this last adaptation is much more straightforward, and it is water storage. If water in the ecosystem is in short supply, some plants will keep a stash of it to keep them going. The most obvious examples are succulents. They typically have fleshy stems or leaves which are full of extra water. These plants are also often waxy, and this layer of wax helps prevent water loss. This stash of water keeps them going in their typically arid conditions even if rain is rare. These are just a few adaptations that help plants survive in hot or dry conditions. Feel free to share any others you know of in the comments or ask any questions that you might have. As always, thank you so much to my supporters on Patreon who help make these videos happen. You can become a patron with a monthly contribution at the link in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.